So welcome to our GCF and ET. I'm going to call it a combo lesson. So the first thing we do before we get to that is this is a snapshot. So you can see there's 3, 6, 7, 8 questions. So my suggestion to you would be to pause the video, work out as many of these as you can, because snapshots, that's what you should be able to do before we move on. So pause the video, do as many as you can, and then come back and check your answers. Okay, so start with, when we factor, the first thing we always want to do is look to see if there's a GCF. So we'll start with this one. Nothing divides evenly into x squared, 13x, and 36. So the only other type we know is the ET, which means that we can find two factors of 36 that add up to 13, and we can. So x plus 4 and x plus 9. Okay, next one underneath. So first thing we do is look to see if there's a GCF, and there is. And so what number divides evenly into 14, 2, and 18? 2. And all terms have an x. 1 is the smallest exponent. So 14 divided by 2 is 7, x cubed. And remember, anytime our GCF is one of our terms, we're going to have a 1, or in this case, a -1 in our answer, plus 9x squared. So we double check to make sure nothing, that these three terms don't have anything in common, and that this times this equals this times this equals this, and this times this equals this, which it does. GCF, no. So that means we can find two factors that multiply to -36 and add up to -16, and because we have the plus minus minus, we're going to need one of each. And so that will be -18 and 2. Clearly can't be an ET, and why can't it be an ET? Well, what does the T stand for in ET? Well, that's trinomial, so that means we need 3 terms. So when there's 2, we know it has to be a GCF. So we're good there. No GCF there, which means we can find two factors of 60. That add up to -19. GCF. So there's no GCF here, and anytime we have a sum or difference of 1, then what we have to do is we have to make sure that the factors of 72 are consecutive numbers. So we're going to go with 8 and 9, and which one has to be positive in order for them to add to +1? Well, that's this one right here. And remember, order doesn't matter. You can write the b plus 9 first, and then the b minus 8. And last but not least, 3 divides evenly into those. And we're finished. So that's the snapshot. So now what you're going to see here, since we've done the 2 types, is this is kind of what your quiz and this section of your exam are going to look like. And so you can see there's some questions there, and there's 2 blanks. And so your job is to factor and then identify the type of factoring. So first thing we do, as always, is look to see if there's a GCF. There is, so we take it out. And then, of course, in the blank, we write GCF. Next one, so there is no GCF. So we want to find two factors of 32 that add up to 18. And so that'll be x plus 16 and x plus 2. And, of course, we'll call that an ET. So here's where it starts to get interesting. So first thing we do is always look for that GCF, and you can write the type first, right? Take out that GCF. Now, what we need to do once we've taken the GCF out is we need to look at what's in brackets and see if we can keep going any further. And so that's kind of, I don't know, I think I use 12 often. So that's kind of like saying, okay, we broke 12 down into 4 times 3. Are we finished? Well, no, because we know 4 breaks down even more, right? And so that's the same way with this. So here we end up with right? 3 factors that multiply to give us 12. Here, we're going to end up with the same thing. If I just gave you that as a question and said, could you factor it? You would say, well, yes, because I can find 2 numbers that multiply to -7 and add up to 6. Well, what are they? Well, they are n plus 7, n minus 1. But don't forget about that 3. We took out the 3. And so sometimes students forget to bring down that GCF, and I say, well, okay, would you then tell me that 2 times 2 is 12 and not bring down the 3? Well, no, you wouldn't, right? So this line has to be equivalent to this line, which has to be equivalent to this, and lucky for us, it's 2 types. So I can't blend them all, obviously, but I can blend GCF with all of the types. So no GCF here, so it has to be an ET, W plus 18, and W plus 1. Moving on, over here, GCF, 5y cubed. I can almost see that. There we go. 3y to the 5th. So let me ask you this. We'll just take a look. Is it possible that this is an easy trinomial? Well, you might say, well, yeah, because there's 3 terms. But all of our trinomials go variable squared, variable constant, right? And this one goes variable to the 5th, variable cubed, constant. You can play it. It's not going to work, right? So we'll move on. GCF. Okay, can we keep going? So this one looks like it could be an ET. It's not a guaranteed ET unless it's by itself. So as long as it's factorable, it's possible that after you pull out this 4, it might look like it could be, but you may not be able to find any factors of this number that add up to this number. But when I look at it, I can see that we can. We bring down our GCF, m minus 5, m minus 2, and of course, it's both. This can't be an ET at all because it only has 2 terms. So we're going to pull out the GCF, just kind of an ugly one. Right, so a to the 9th divided by a to the 5th is a to the 4th. And make sure we check that there's nothing in common, and that this times this gives us this, and this times this gives us that. And last but not least, GCF. So we'll take out that 4. Oh. So here's another what I call ET setup. But can we take 2 factors of 7, -7, and have them add up to 3? Well, there's only 2 factors of 7, right? It's -7 and 1, or -1 and 7. Can I take those 2 numbers and get a -3 out of that? No, I can't. So that's as far as I can go. And so that's our GCF ET blend lesson.